Any other comments on that?
If it's free, send it.
Yeah.
Julian Brown, Kingston Arts Council. For Greg, two things, one a comment and one a question. The comment is about your request of conflicts between competing events. The Kingston Arts Council has run a music planning calendar for 6 years now, been extremely effective in avoiding conflicts. As you look at the calendar, you can see groups spreading out their concerts over weekends to avoid conflicts. It's a volunteer business, and we're having a bit of trouble integrating it into the new website, but it works, and it can be done. We can help anybody who wants to do it, for the theatre or other things. The question, we all know that things have changed at the Whig. Does the Whig still provide media sponsorships? We had one for an event a while ago, and it was extremely effective.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Others maybe in this room have gone to the way you know the answer better than I do. But to continue, the first part of your response was, I think I see this conflict come up a lot more in theater groups. And I don't know what it is about theater groups in this town. They are their own countries. You know, you'd think, like, I go to plays all the time, and I don't see, other than Michael Kaplan and one or two others, people from the different groups going to other people's plays. They don't support each other's plays. It's a bit discouraging, really. And this week, I think, was a good example. I think two colleagues should have gotten together and said, okay, why don't I put mine on that last week, or the week before this week, instead of conflicting. And what happened in the end was, I would have gone to both of those plays and reviewed them, two of these plays, and I can't now. I couldn't go to them because I can't cover 3 plays in a week. And a simple conversation could have solved that problem, I think. But for some reason, theater groups in this town, Michael, you could speak to it maybe as well.
I'm not touching that.
I know. But they don't seem to like working together. I don't know why. But Julian, is this a follow-up on that?
Yes, just a quick comment. These dates are set, everybody knows, dates are set long in advance, and it's difficult sometimes to work together, maybe just across the corridor, but it's still difficult to make that contact. And the essence of a planning calendar is that it has to extend far into the future, because these dates are set a long time ahead.
Thanks, Julian. Sorry, you've been waiting patiently.
Oh no, that's okay. I just wanted to say one of the questions that I get the most at the city is people wanting comprehensive press release lists. And I'm just wondering if that might be something that we could have living on the Arts Council portal, and we can make sure that it's updated regularly. Because I get about probably 1 request a week, can you please send me your release list? And I'm always happy to do that, but it might be great if we could all just make, you know, maybe there's a way that could live, because as you all know, the city site is not very user friendly, but there might be a way that we can make sure that we can have everyone's contact information on there. So, and when I lived in Victoria, one of the local papers actually put out a publication every year that had all the phone numbers, all the websites, all the, you know, and if we could have a way, we could have everyone's, you know, Twitter address and everyone's Facebook page URL that was a comprehensive list, and I could maybe put that together and have it living on your site. That would really help people who don't have a budget for advertising, but want to be able to connect the dots as to how who they actually send the releases to.
So I think this is a good segue into my confession that I know everyone's waiting on, because I double booked tonight. So this can be, we move into the discussion period now, but feel free to ask more questions to our panelists, and now what I'm going to try to do is just have some sharing in terms of what is working, what hasn't. And so I'm really pleased with our audience and our panelists, and I'm learning a lot. But I totally screwed up because tonight, in a downtown Kingston hotel, is the Arts and Letters Club. And they're hosting a really amazing writer by the name of Clark Mackey. And I would have been there if it wasn't for this. So the Kingston Arts Council has created a new arts portal that's going to be very interactive, and it's a way for
people in this room, artists, arts organizations, can post their events. It goes onto a calendar, and this addresses the problem of how we can better communicate with each other. See, months down the road, what's being planned, so you can scope out like where all the theater events are going to be, where I can plan mine better. And so we're still in the early stages of this, and obviously my mistake speaks to that. I didn't know. I'm going to use that lame excuse, but I was just hired, and I didn't actually know that Arts and Letters was every second Tuesday of every month, and I highly recommend it, by the way. So I apologize for that, but I mean, on the other hand, and I'm almost finished, I think there's another side to that, and I think it's been addressed somewhat in that there are more and more arts events in Kingston, and there is a building momentum for arts and culture and an expanding audience. And I think to think in the future that there's never going to be double booking again is not only not true, but not necessarily a bad thing. And this is my opinion. I'm speaking. My background is music, and I'm seeing now. In one night, I'll go out to 3 different concerts and I'll be packed. So double booking is an issue, and I think as an arts community and with our media and with our websites, we can improve on that. But I think there's a positive side to it as well, that I'm beginning to think that Kingston, as the audience for arts grows, can and has the ability to sustain many events in one night. Hopefully that will lead to some more discussion.
Just really quickly, how early or how much in advance can you post things on the portal site right now at the Arts Council? Do you know? Like, can we post our next year's theater season?
Yeah, eventually, it's not quite like ready for that, but eventually it's going to be something where you post and immediately goes on the calendar, and that can be like next
For whatever
season.
year it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and if you want more information on this, Josh Lyon is the administrator at the Kingston Arts Council, and he's the guy that's been working day in and day out putting this together. It's quite an extensive project because of the interactive arts portal element of it. It's not just your regular website, but I think it's going to answer a lot of the concerns that people have, especially during the cultural planning. Like, what is the one calendar, the one site that we can all plug our events in and all go to? So yeah, go ahead.
Are the local media going to look at this one calendar and use that for their list of events that are coming up?
I will.
Okay.
Once a month I try and look at absolutely everything that I can online and pitch based off that. So, I will.
Danielle and then Kylie.
I was going to say the same thing. I dedicate a couple hours a week when I'm not working to surf through a bunch of different sites and figure out what's going on. So yeah, I'll definitely add it to my list.
Yeah, that'll be a go-to for sure. Yeah, right now I have partyinkingston.com is one of mine, and it's like, sounds catchy, but very comprehensive website, and it sounds like something like that. But
What is it called?
partyinkingston.com.
It's like the old what's on Kingston.
Yeah, it's a list of events.
Oh, it's the same thing, or it's different? Party in Kingston and what's on Kingston, or two different sites?
They're different,
They're
yeah.
different, yeah.
I have to say I won't, just because already I'm twice as many stories as I can do.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought I was on. Yes, Alex.
Allie Jacob, I'm with Studio 22. I don't know if this is an appropriate question, but I feel as though we're, not everybody, I won't speak for everybody, but we're largely core culture. We're largely downtown, dishing it out from here. And I'm curious to know if anybody has any ideas how we start to reach suburban areas, people that don't necessarily feel all that happy about coming downtown. So that's just...
Okay, so Al, and also love to hear from the audience too, in terms of who they think they're representing and how far you're reaching.
It's definitely harder to reach suburban audiences, but one suggestion I was going to make a little earlier on, but forgot to, was that right now tonight you're talking about communicating with the media, traditional media or online media, whatever. or non-traditional media. There are other ways that you can get your message out to, obviously, your own mailing lists, but there are a number of, and this is where it sort of touches on what you were talking about, Ali. There are a number of neighborhood associations in the city. Not very many. I wish there were more, but if there is a way that you could link whatever is you're wishing to promote with their neighborhood through their neighborhood association. Maybe somebody who's in your play, for example, lives in Strathcona Park, and you contact the Strathcona Park Neighborhood Association if there is one, and they might have a mailing list. It might only be a couple hundred people, but why not? You know, the McBurney Park Neighborhood Association, which I used to coordinate for a couple of years, we would often promote events that went on mainly in our neighborhood, the Artel, Modern Fuel, Skeleton Park Music Festival that Craig so ably pioneered. We have a couple hundred, almost 250 people on our mailing list, and sometimes people would find out about things not through the WIG, not through Kingston Suite, but through the McBurney Park mailing list, and they would go and have a good time. So think outside the traditional media as well, and that's one way you can do it.
Tori, and we're talking about reaching maybe more challenging audience like suburbs.
Completely outside of the media. Things like music in the park, and then theater in the park, which is set up through the city. If you preview things, I know that Lions Park is Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights. Lions Park beside the Cataraqui Town Center has an hour to an hour and a half long show every 3 times a week. So if you did a preview of a show that was upcoming, say downtown, out there, and especially if it's geared towards children, because when you're dealing with suburbia, it's an easier way to get kids to come downtown is to give them something that their parents will know they'll be interested in, therefore they're willing to pay for parking, tickets, coming themselves, that kind of thing. Previews are really effective.
Another thing, I don't believe that it's been mentioned tonight, but don't forget CableNet, Channel 13. I was recently a candidate in the municipal election, and as part of that, each of the candidates was allowed to tape a 2-minute video statement, which was put onto YouTube, and also a broadcast, you know, repeatedly through the campaign period on CableNet. And I went and did it, and I thought, oh God, nobody's going to watch these things. But as I knocked on hundreds and hundreds of doors and talked with a lot of people, I was blown away by the number of people who said, "Oh, I saw you on TV." I'm like, "You watched that thing?" You know. So again, I go back to the video things. I mean, if you have the resources or the time or the access to someone who can put together a little video or something for you, or even ask CableNet to do it for you, don't discount the effectiveness of that as a way of getting your word out, because people watch it. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask you, you mentioned earlier how a lot of your viewership is outside of Kingston. Do you have a sense of like the West End or?
I can't break it down, but I can get City Central. Or City Central, Kingston Central is basically within our signs. So I can't break it down on neighborhoods and so on, or areas, but I can break it down in Kingston Central and then outside, so Belleville and Brockville as well. Yeah. And yeah, just because we're not just downtown, we're not just Belleville, we're not just Brockville, but we do reach the overlining areas and we do reach the core. So it's about, yes, the mass media, you're reaching everyone, but if you could reach 1% of 200,000 people to come to your event, is that good enough for you? 2%, 5%, whatever the case is. You're not necessarily talking to all of them, but you're talking to the right audiences when you are reaching masses.